Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate everybody joining us on Rated R for Reviews. Please hit that like button, subscribe, of course, if you're new. Obviously, you see the title. We're talking about Naked and Afraid Apocalypse again. This is going to be this is episode 5, I believe. Um, and you see the title where I put the migration, right? Yeah. So finally, finally, we have been talking about this, I think, for at least a couple episodes where I was like, bro, when are they going to start moving towards their final destination, right? They haven't been moving. It was like day 17, and I'm like, okay, I know you got to move at some point, right? Finally we're here. They finally start to well, at least some of them. I'm gonna say some of them, not all. Some of them finally start to migrate. But yeah, we're gonna talk about it, man. Appreciate everybody joining us. I see a dead Spectre right there. Appreciate you showing up, showing some love. He said, "I can't tune in today, man." He said, "Mate, I'm about to watch the episode. I hope you have a good stream." Hey, thank you, man. Hey, just the fact that you pulled up just to say that, I appreciate it, man. You know, we appreciate dead Spectre always showing up, showing some love to the channel, man. Appreciate you, bro. We got Goat James in the building, aka Chris, aka Let Me Cook This. Right, appreciate you showing up, showing some love. Salute to both of y'all, man. Appreciate y'all, man, showing some love, hitting that like button. Appreciate it, man. So look, man, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. So I again love the episode of Naked and Afraid Apocalypse. I like the whole environment. You know what I mean? The whole environment of Naked and Afraid Apocalypse is it's great. You know what I mean? It's just the atmosphere is great. It's a different it's a different type of environment and a different type of Naked and Afraid that I'm used to seeing. You know what I mean? That we're all used to seeing. I mean, if you watch the show, a lot most of the Naked and Afraid, um pretty much all of them, when it comes down to, of course, Frozen, Exhale, the regular Naked and Afraid, it's always someplace where they're in like the jungle or something like that. Every once in a while they'll be in South Africa, but for the most part they always in like an Amazon or something like that. You know what I mean? So this one, for it to be an apocalypse of just everything just dead around them, dead grass, dead trees, lions, of course. You know what I mean? It's insane. You know what I mean? And of course burnt down buildings and things like that. Everything's just it's great. I love it. I love it. So anyway, obviously, we're gonna start off with ooh, we're gonna start off with the group that kind of one of my favorite groups of Waz and Teal. Okay, the pair of Waz and Teal. I ain't gonna lie to you. I can't, I was thinking about putting them two on the thumbnail, right? Um, but I went with Joe, and I was like, because the only reason I went with Joe because Joe stood out to me in this episode, and I'm gonna tell you why later on. But anyway, we're gonna start off with Waz and Teal. Waz and Teal, they decide that they go out hunting right from the beginning of the show. They go out hunting, and they start to realize that, you know what, there's nothing else out here. Like it's I mean, the animals are pretty much going away. You know what I mean? We're trying to hunt and get some food, and it's just not working. You know what I mean? The animals are just not coming by no more. And the only animals we're getting now are predators like lions. Like that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? And so they decide, you know what? I think it's time to move on. It's time to move on. And so they pack up their thing. When I seen them pack up their things, and I seen also Steven's group, when I seen them wrap up and they pack up their things too, it reminded me of the military, right? The military, the military, where you have to scrunch everything together, man, and wrap it all up and tie it around, man. You made it all tight, you know what I mean? And you put it in your pack, you know what I'm saying? All that stuff reminds me of the military, man. We had to scrunch up everything and fit it all in our packs, you know what I'm saying, and wrap it up, put it on our thing, you know what I mean? And so anyway, yeah, it reminded me of the military. So, but anyway, so great. So anyway, Waz and Teal decide, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and keep it going and move on. You know what I mean? And they didn't want to leave their campsite. Their camp they have built their campsite to where it's almost like perfection. You know what I mean? And when it comes down to a boma, keeping predators out, things like that, and they didn't want to leave it. They put a lot of effort, and that's the hard part. I think one of the hardest parts is when you have to put a lot of effort into a shelter, into a campsite, with boma and all that stuff. It's very difficult to leave something like that. You know what I'm saying? But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. You know what I mean? So you gotta move eventually. And shout out to Waz too, because and I had said this too. I think because there was a little bit of a discussion between Waz and Teal, and Waz was talking about, of course, moving on, and Teal was kind of debating on whether to move on or not. And I had said this right before Waz said it. I had said, well, you got to move on eventually, right? And then as soon as I said that, Watts turned around and said the same thing. He was like, "Well, we got to move eventually." I was like, "There you go," because you can't stay there forever, right? You gotta find the whole point of the show is to find civilization, right? You have to find it eventually, right? So you're gonna have to move on eventually. You know what I mean? And right now, like he said, perfect thinking with Watts, right? He was like, you know what? It's best to move on now while we still kind of got some food in our bellies. You know what I mean? We got some energy going, right? So you want to move on now. It's perfect. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Wallace for thinking that, and that's perfect. You don't want to move on when you're weak. You know what I'm saying? Remember, it's hot. Okay, it's like 112 degrees out there, right? You know what I mean? I understand they're naked, okay, but your body still gets hot. You know what I mean? Your body still gonna get hot, man. Hey, I don't know if they got freaking like sunscreen or something. Maybe they spraying some sunscreen around them or something like that before every episode. I don't know, man, but but yeah, ain't nobody getting sunburned out there. I don't know, but anyway, so Waz and Till decided, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and move on. So they started packing up their things, and then they pushed forward, and then the scene goes to, this Wes. I will say this: this show, this episode, should I say, this episode, it was about an hour and a half long, but not a lot of things happened. It's weird because most of it was just migration, right? Of just you know groups migrating to another site, right? Um, but not a lot of, and that's mostly what the show was about. And so anyway, Wes, and that's why I said Wes and C, it wasn't it wasn't a lot going on there. Like, you know what I mean? I think when they showed them trying to fish, right? They showed them trying to fish and everything like that. And I think Steve had one funny part. Steve had caught a fish, right? He threw his line in there. He caught a fish, and all of a sudden, when he pulled it out, he beat it. He freaking socked it with his freaking fist because the fish was all squirming around, on the floor, and he was like, "No!" He freaking hammer hit it, thing, hammer fist that thing, and I was like, "Oh wow, okay." I don't think it's gonna work. But anyway, they end up catching the fish, right? I mean, to be honest, Wes and C, that was like the only thing that happened to them. Honestly, like the whole episode, Wes and Steve, they caught a fish. I mean, that was it. Like there was nothing else that happened with them in the whole episode. I don't remember anything else. So, but anyways, Steven's group, Steven and Alexa and Frank. I think at the beginning Frank went to go out. No, Steven. No, Frank. Frank went to go out and do some hunting, right? So Frank went to go do some hunting. He sat out there in the sun. Again, it's like 112 degrees out there, right? He sat out there in the sun waiting for some anything, you know, don't matter. Any type of antelope or pig or whatever it is, warthog, whatever it is, right? Hyena, I don't give a damn. He's looking for something, right? He's out there for hours. And remember, Frank, shout out to Frank. I like Frank. I'm not gonna lie. I think Frank's becoming my favorite character. I like him. But Frank, man, he's been providing for his group. Remember, he caught these. He shot the bow and arrow. He shot the freaking antelope. Right. He caught the fish that was in the mud. Bam! Shot him. You know what I'm saying? Caught the fish. He caught a couple things to feed his group. And so anyway, he's out there in the heat trying to freaking hunt. Nothing's coming by. He starts to walk back to his camp, and as he's walking back to his camp, he gets lightheaded, right? He's like, oh my God. Like he starts to get dizzy, right? Luckily he made it to his camp. He sits down and he just says, you know what? I gotta chill. I gotta chill. And so he lays down. Obviously, you know, uh, Alexa and Steven are like, okay, maybe we should call the medic. Because you're looking at heat stroke now, right? That's what you're looking at. You know what I mean? He's been drinking water. Again, the water remember, guys, the water that you have to drink, you have to boil the water, right? Because you have to get all the bacteria out You know what I'm saying? You can't just drink regular water and you're gonna get sick. So you have to boil it to get all the bacteria out of that water, right? After you boil it, you gotta let it sit. It's not like you're letting it sit in the refrigerator for it to get cool again, right? Like, so, right? It's not happening, right? So after you boil it, you gotta let it sit. So you're pretty much drinking water that is probably like 90 degrees. Like this freaking hot ass water that you gotta drink, right? It sucks, you know what I mean? So again, so he's drinking water, but I mean, keep it real. Like it's hot. It's hot ass water. You know what I mean? So he said, "Wasn't this show called Survivor back in the day?" There's different shows, different shows, different shows. They do have a show called Survivor, but this one is brand new. It's a Naked and Afraid. It's a venture off of the regular Naked and Afraid, and it's called Naked and Afraid Apocalypse. They have a few of them. They got the regular Naked and Afraid one. They got the Naked and Afraid Frozen. That's when them fools is in like the mountains of snow. Like you got to survive in the mountains of snow. Like that one was tough. And then they got the Naked and Afraid XL. That one. So the Naked and Afraid regular one is like 21 days. The Naked and Afraid XL is 40 days that you gotta last anywhere in the world, like at the Amazon or Safari, whatever, right? But this one's brand new. This one's called Naked and Afraid Apocalypse. It's brand new, but venture off of the regular Naked and Afraids. So yeah, but he say, man, I'm watching Joe square up with the freaking elephant. Hey, yeah, and that's what bro. I was about to go there next, man. I said, hey, Joe, man, and I'm gonna say something, and it's gonna come back later on, right? He said, "That fool's crazy." He said, "Ain't eating damn hyenas." Hey, they, bro, you gotta eat anything. I'm telling you, these fools will eat anything, man. You gotta eat it. There's catfish, there's antelope, there's hyenas, there's freaking turtles. You know what I mean? They'll eat anything, bro. Matter of fact, I'm going here, right? So the next one, the next one, uh, J- that was Steven's group. They called a medic for Frank. The medic came out there, checked on Frank. They gave him. They said he's going. They checked his vitals, and things like that. They said he's going to be a little bit okay, but they're going to watch him a little bit, right? Luckily, by the way, later on in the episode, Frank started to feel better, right? Fantastic, right? But moving on to Joe, right? Because the scene goes to Joe next, right? Freaking Joe, Joe, man, and you see the thumbnail, right? You see the thumbnail of Joe screaming, right? And you see the picture of the lion right next to Joe, right? So anyway, Joe, first of all, the first scene of the episode, Joe is sleeping at night, right? And he starts to hear lions start to growl near his camp, right? And so he gets up and he's all like, I hear you growling at me, right? And so you hear the light. Now again, it's pitch black out there. You can't see anything, right? And so he's like, he walks out of his shelter. He's like, I hear you growling, and then all of a sudden he starts to growl. He's like, yeah. He starts growling at the freaking lions, right? And I'm like, oh, this guy. Oh my god. So anyway, later on in the episode, right? He wants to go hunt, right? So he goes to his little water hole. He starts to go. He wants to go hunt, and he comes in. He comes within like another like 15 yards or 20 yards of this massive freaking elephant, and he's all like, "Yeah, this elephant is trying to take my water hole." I was like, "What do you mean?" No, no, no. You trying to take his water hole? What are we talking about? You're in his freaking environment, bro. That's a massive freaking. First of all, you got and then he starts to yell at the elephant. He starts freaking like screaming at the elephant, thinking the elephant's going, bro. You know what? Joe is Joe tried to freaking scream at the elephant like the elephant's gonna get scared. Look, bro, I don't give a damn how big you are, okay? Nobody, no human is bigger than an elephant, all right? You're gonna die, right? Anyway, so anyway, he starts to walk back to his camp, right? And as he's walking back, bro, I swear to goodness, I have never in my life seen a big ass snail like he's seen. This bro, the snail, I'm not bro, it was okay, again, a snail, I'm thinking a snail is like the size of my thumb, right? Like that's how big when I see snails, they're like that big, right? Bro, this snail it was like two of my fists. Like this how big the snail was. I was like, holy crap, look how big that snail is. And he's walking and he looks down and he sees a big ass freaking snail. And I'm like, wow, I've never seen a snail. So, anyways, he goes and now here's the thing: a big snail like that, that's good protein. If you cook it, you know what I'm saying? People eat snails, right? You know, in France, was it escargot, right? People would eat snails, right? But here's the thing: they had said the show the show said that for some reason this particular snail you cannot eat, and it has parasites and all kind of stuff in there that will freaking, if you eat it, man, it's gonna get all in your guts. You know what I'm saying? Then you're gonna have freaking, like, parasites all in your guts, right? You go and then he goes, it's gonna be like the aliens that's come out of your stomach. Right? So so you can't eat it, man. So it sucks because that was a big ass snail, man. I mean, that snail was, bro. It was. I ain't never seen no snail like that. That was big. So anyway, so yeah, you can't. He couldn't eat it, so he had to pass it on. But yeah, that was I ain't never seen no snail like that, bro. That was massive, massive freaking snails, man. Anyway, so he couldn't eat it, and so he moved on. So he went back to his camp, right? He's chilling, and then it, the scene goes back to Wes and Teal, right? Remember, they packed up their stuff. They're migrating, right? They're moving on to the next. Now, here's the thing: when Waz looked at the map, he had said that he wanted to pretty much go to almost pretty much the end of the map, where right next to civilization, right? That's where he wanted to go. And so anyway, on the way over there, they're walking about, like, I think about 4 miles. And again, y'all, 4 miles in 113-degree heat, right? No shoes. You're walking in a freaking safari, dead grass, stick, thorns poking out of the ground, right? Everything's dead. Bro, what? You got lions and stuff walking around you, right? You know what I mean? You 4 miles. And you're carrying a pack. Because remember, they had to pack up some stuff. So they're carrying a pack, right? And they're walking in this heat. Insane, right? Again, your water that you got, it's hot. It's hot water. It's not like you got some cool ice cold water as you're walking. No, no. You're walking and you're drinking hot ass freaking water that's like 80 degrees, right? This 80-degree water, right? You know. So anyway, they're walking and they find a water hole, right? And Juan is like, oh my goodness, look, a water hole. And he's all like, hey, let's chill. Because we've been walking for damn 4 miles, right? So let's chill a little bit, right? So he puts his pack down, you know what I mean? And then Teal puts her pack down. And the whole time, and I'm watching the show, right? The whole time that they're walking around the water hole, get to a spot, put their pack down, right? Joe is there, chilling behind a bush. And he's looking at him. He's like, and he's like staring them down. Bro, what it looked like? It looked like Joe haven't been, and facts, he hasn't. He hasn't been around people for the past like 3 weeks, right? So his interaction of people skills has plummeted, plummeted, right? He's watching them behind the freaking sticks, and and he's not saying anything. He's just watching them, and I'm like, why is he not saying nothing? Like, bro, you see people, obviously they're not like regular people because they're naked. So obviously it's one of your peoples that's in the competition with you, right? You would think you would say something. He didn't say anything. He's just sitting there. He's watching them. And then he's talking underneath his breath. And he's like, look at these fools over here trying to take my water hole. I was like, what are we talking about here? Bro, his I don't know what happened to Joe, man. Joe just, bro, his people skills are just gone, right? Finally, he picks his head up off the bush, right? Teal was the first one to see him. Teal was like, "Oh crap! Look, it's another naked person, right?" And so, so Joe walks out. Bro. I'd say it's like a movie, right? He walks out all slow, mean face. You know what I mean? He no smiles at all, right? He's walking out and he's all like suspicious. He's walking slowly towards them, like like they're zombies or something. He's all like, "What the heck's going on?" Like they're about to kill him. It was weird. And so he walking slowly towards him, and Teal was just like, "Hey." She opened her arms up, give him a hug, and he was like, "Okay, I guess I'll give you a hug then." bro, what the heck's going on? Waz was like, "Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? You know, give him a little shake, shake. You know what I mean?" And then and then they do like little solo interviews, right? They did a solo interview, and Teal pretty much said the same thing. Teal was like, "I don't know what's going on with him. Something's off. Something's just off with him right now. I don't know what's going on." But again, he hasn't been around people. He's been by himself for like the past 3 weeks. Remember, his Amber tapped out. Remember Amber? She tapped out early, right? And then Kale left his ass because he was being a jerk, right? So Kale left him, and he's been on his own for the past 3 weeks. So of course, his people skills has been weird. Like, you know what I mean? It's just gone, right? And then of course you've been in this type of environment. And Waz even said it. Waz was like, "Hey man, shout out to him for surviving this long by himself in this type of environment, bro. You've been around lions and stuff like that, massive freaking elephants, right? You've been surviving every single night by yourself with lions coming around your freaking camp, around your boma, and you've been just chilling. And so, hey, shout out to him. But yeah, now he's all weird. so, so anyway, uh, and he no smiles. He did not smile. I was watching him. He didn't smile not one time, right? It wasn't until a little bit later, and I'm gonna tell you the reason why all of a sudden he started smiling, right? So anyway, Teal Teal was like, she saw that big ass pond of freaking like in the water, right? So she was like, that water sure looks good. And then Joe, of course, Joe was like, "Oh yeah, you can go ahead and get in it. You know what I mean? That's my little pool over there. You know what I'm saying? It's nice and cool. You know what I mean?" So Teal gets in, Waz gets in, Joe gets in. They're all swimming, and then Teal is like, "Oh my god, this feels amazing, right?" I don't know how for it to be so hot every single day. I don't know how Joe's pool of water stayed cool. You know what I mean? But hey, it is what it is. Whatever, right? So they're swimming in it, right? And then so Joe is explaining to them like, "Hey, um, I'm going out hunting, but not much going on now. You know what I mean? I've been trying to hunt, but not going much going on. I actually have a fish trap over there, but not really catching anything. Remember, Joe hasn't caught anything in the last 3 weeks except like one turtle. No, I'm sorry, a turtle and a catfish. Remember that big ass catfish he caught? He caught that, and then he caught like a turtle, right? He caught like two things. He only ate twice in like the past like 3 weeks, right? So anyway, Joe tells him what's up, and then Waz is like, "Oh, okay, cool." Now, see, this is why it pays you got to have some knowledge, right? So Waz knew again, and I think who was that? Me and Dead Spectre said the same thing. We said I think it was the last 2 episodes. Me and Dead Spectre was like, "Hey, why are they not using that fish net? You were successful in the first episode with the fish net and got like freaking like 12, 13 fish, almost 15 fish, and then you stopped using it. What happened to that, right?" Well, they brought it back this episode. Finally, they brought it back, right? I don't know. Maybe, maybe they just you catch your fish and I guess you run out. I don't know, bro. Anyway, so this is why the knowledge comes in because Joe has been at that freaking campsite with that pool for the past 3 weeks, and he's only caught a catfish and a turtle, right? Waz and Teal get over there, and they got their netting, right? And they're like, well, let's see what we can catch, right? So they take their netting right now. Again, this is where the knowledge comes in at because Waz knows just like with the catfish and it's at its old campsite, the catfish likes to dig inside underneath the water, dig inside the mud. They twirl around inside the mud and then they hide in there. So they're not really swimming they're not swimming in the pond. They're inside the mud, right? Well, same goes for the turtles. The turtles get inside the mud and they dig it in there, and then now they got mud, so now they're not really in the pond anymore, right? So you actually have to go in there, dig the mud out and then try to catch the turtles, right? Waz knew what's up. So Waz and Teal got up in the pond They took their fish net, they held one hand at their fish net like this, the other hand on the bottom of the fish net, put it in the pond, and as they're going across the pond, right, they got their other hand that's on the bottom, they grip it, they grip the net, and then they take their rest of their two fingers and sweep the mud from the bottom because they that's where the turtles are. The turtles are in the mud. That's where they're at. So it's smart, freaking smart, right? You take your net, you put on you got the other bottom, and you're sweeping the mud from the bottom with the net. So now anything that pops up is going right into the net, bro. It's freaking genius, right? So, anyways, Waz and Teal on each side of the pond with their net, right? They doing it, boom, boom, boom. Bro. They end up getting like a freaking. They got two turtles right away, just like that. What's up, Trey? All day. Appreciate you showing up. Salute. Thank you for showing up. Appreciate you showing up. What's up? You know what I said? I got you, bro. Appreciate you showing up, showing some love. But so yeah, so they got like two turtles right away. And Joe has been there for the past 3 weeks. And the first thing, Wise until gets there, the first couple hours, boom, two turtles, just like that, bro. This is why you got to be knowledgeable. Got to be knowledgeable, man. So they was like, well, it worked that way. They swept that. They went back and swept again with their net, right? Caught two more turtles. They got four turtles now, bro. What the hell? Swept it again, bro. Bro, they caught two more. They got six. Count them, six freaking turtles by just sweeping their net and digging underneath the mud and trying to get the turtle. They caught six freaking turtles. Joe has been there for 3 weeks and caught one. Them fools caught six turtles in a matter of like an hour. Insane, bro. Insane, man. This is another thing. This is why I said that those traps, the fish baskets and things like that, those things hardly ever work, man. They don't really work like that. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But anyway, Joe, and this is what remember I told you guys, Joe didn't smile when Waz and Teal first got there. Joe was not smiling at all. Again, his people skills plummeted, right? They suck, right? He's been by himself for 3 weeks. But he wasn't smiling at all. It wasn't until all of a sudden when Waz and Teal caught all them turtles, all of a sudden you seen Joe cheesing. Hey, Joe was smiling ear to ear, bro. He was like, "Oh, I get to eat." He was, bro. The first two turtles that Waz and Teal caught, Joe was the first one over there. Hey, give me that. he took them turtles out the net. I was like, "Oh, okay. Now you happy now, right? Now you get to eat, bro." He was not happy, bro. When they first got there, bro, he wasn't happy at all, man. And all of a sudden, when they fed his ass, then he was like, "Oh, okay, I'm happy now." That was the first time he smiled, bro. So anyway, yeah, I thought that was pretty funny, man. So anyway, they and Teal, they would Joe at their campsite, right? And nightfall comes around, right? And they're eating. They two turtles each. Because remember, there's three of them. They caught six. Two turtles each. That's good protein. They've cooked them, right? They nice and fed. Their bellies is nice and fed, right? And then nighttime comes around, and Teal wakes up out of the night, and because she hears like some rumbles outside, some growls outside, right? And she's all like, "What the hell is that?" And Joe's all, well, Joe's just like, "Oh, don't worry about it. That's just lions." And then Teal's like, "They sound pretty close." And then Joe was like, "Yeah, but he was still sleeping, right? He was sleeping like this." And Joe was all like, "Yeah, but just growl back at them. They'll go away." Hell no, bro. Hell no. Teal was like, "Excuse me, you want me to growl back at the lions and then they're just gonna go away?" Like, look at here, bro. Look, that may work one time, maybe, but that ain't gonna work every time. You know what I mean? And then Joe's all like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. You just gotta show him who's boss. You know what I mean? Just go back to sleep. You'll be all right." And then so Teal is like, "Oh hell no." We gotta get up out of here. So anyway, the next morning comes around, right? And Teal and Waz and Joe, they start conversating. And then Teal is like, hey, look at here. Does that happen a lot? Where the lions come around at night and real close. And Joe's like, yeah, that happens a lot. What I'm saying, but you'll be all right. And then Teal is like, okay, see, now again, Waz's plan was to migrate further anyway, right? But luckily, they found Joe's campsite to where they can bed down for the night, and they got security, and shelter for the night, right? So luckily, they found his camp. But Waz wants to keep going, right? Um, especially after what happened that night, right? So Joe leaves. He wants to hunt some more, right? So he takes his bow and arrow. He goes out. Teal and Waz are talking amongst each other, and Teal is like, "Yeah, we gotta go." and Waz is like, "Yeah, I pretty much agree." And Teal and Waz remember when they was at their campsite, there was lions and stuff walking around, but it wasn't until later on, right before they started migrating, right before they left their campsite, that the lions start to get a little bit more aggressive. And over time, that's pretty much what happens, right? The lions and stuff like that, they start to get a little bit more aggressive. They start to get a little closer to your shelter, a little closer to your boma, right? And they get a little bit more aggressive. So eventually, they're going to come in eventually. Like, you know what I mean? They're getting closer and closer to you, right? And so that's pretty much what's happening to Joe's camp is that they may start off at a distance, but over 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they start to get closer and closer to next thing you know, now they're inside. You know what I mean? And so Teal was like, yeah, he's at a spot where he needs to leave because there's nothing here. And the Lions are getting very, very bold. You know what I'm saying? That growling back at them is not going to work for a long time. It's not going to work all the time. You know what I mean? So so anyway, Waz agreed, and he was like, yeah, yeah, we're gonna stay here one more night, and then we're gonna bounce. You know what I mean? Because it's definitely not a good place to be in right now. And so Teal was saying, okay, cool, but maybe we should bring Joe with us. And Waz was like, I hear you, but I'm not gonna force him to go if he don't want to go. I'm not gonna force him, right? And so Teal was like, no. It seemed like Teal really wanted Joe to come along with him, and I think mainly because his safety, right, for his safety, and because there was nothing left. It was just you're going out if you're going out hunting all these days and you can't hunt. There's nothing. Like I can see if there was like that again. One of the reasons why Waz and Teal left their campsite, not only are the lions getting more bolder, but every time you go out hunting, you don't even see anything. It's different if you go out hunting and you see things, then you can shoot at it. And if you just miss, you just miss. But if you go out hunting for 3, 4, 5 hours and nothing's even walking by except freaking massive freaking elephants, well, you're not gonna shoot that with a bow and arrow, right? So 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 it's time to go. It's time to go, right? That's what same thing happened to Steven's group, Steven, Alexa, and Frank. Same thing. Frank goes out there first, doesn't see anything. Steven goes out there, doesn't see anything except a massive freaking elephant. It's time to go. It's time to get going, man. You just like Steven said, you hate to leave the Thunderdome, right? But you gotta go. You gotta go. So Teal really wants Joe to go with them and migrate with them, right? So Joe comes back from hunting. Obviously, he tells him, "Yeah, I got nothing, nothing. I don't have anything, man. I tried and there's nothing there, right?" And so Teal tells Joe, "Hey, look at here. Maybe you should think about coming with us because, like you said, you've been going out hunting. You haven't even seen anything, and I mean, how you gonna eat? I mean, luckily we came here. She didn't say this part, but luckily they came there and fed him some turtles. But before them, he wasn't. He only had two things, like I said, catfish and one turtle. That's all he had in the past 3 weeks. And every time he goes out hunting, there's nothing there to shoot at except a massive elephant, which you're not shooting at that, right? So Joe and Waz pretty much said the same thing. Waz was like, "Yeah, man, I think it's time to go." Joe tells them yeah, I'm good. I don't I don't want to go. And Teal is like confused. She's like, hold on, what? What do you mean? this isn't this isn't making any sense to me right now. Like what? I'm not understanding. You don't want to go? And Joe's just like, yeah, I'm just not gonna go anywhere. I'm just gonna stay right here. I built this shelter, what I'm saying, and I don't want to go, because he was like, you don't know what else is out there, you don't know where you're gonna go, you know what I mean, and stuff like. And then Waz was like, hey, look, man, I'm not gonna force you, but you can't stay here forever, so just letting you know. And so Joe was just like, yeah, well, I'm just gonna chill right here. and, and then so confusion with the two of Waz and Teal, right? Confusion, right? So anyway, the scene stops there, and it goes to Steven's group. Steven's group, Steven and Alexa and Frank are again migrating somewhere else, right? As they're going across the freaking Badlands, the burnt Badlands, right? They get to this big old giant like river, right? And they're like, "Oh my God, look at this! This is wonderful, right?" They got a big ass river. They like, "Oh man, we could probably set up camp somewhere over there." And then now we got this big ass river. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, they seen one hippo head raise up. It starts flapping his ears, and Steven was like, "Oh," he was like, "Look at that!" And then Frank and Alexa were like, "Oh hell no, we're not about to, we're not about to be." And then it was one right. All of a sudden, another head popped up, and then over there, another head. Bro, it was like three, four hippos. And then yeah, they was like, "Oh no, never mind." We're not about to say here, bro. Bro, hippos, bro. You know, hippos may look cool, what I'm saying, from a distance, right? You know what I mean? The cartoon of hippos may look cartoonish, they funny, you know what I'm saying? But them hippos, bro, in real life, bro, they said the hippos' jaws are like they clamp down 3 times harder than a lion's jaw, right? The hippos, bro, their massive mouth is just, bro, you're not getting away. And of course, they said that with the hippos, right? Their their eyes are like somewhat, they're not blind, but they're like their vision is blurry, right? So they attack anything because they don't know they don't really know what's you know comfortable or not. So if anything gets close to them, they're attacking it because they're already blurred out, right? And so I didn't know that, by the way. So good thing I know it now. But yeah, so Steven, Alexa, and Frank, they were like, yeah, not happening. We're gonna keep on, keep going, man, keep going, man. So anyway, they pressed on, man, they pressed on, and so anyway, they go again. This is why I said when it comes down to Wes and Steve, not too much going on with them. Like they went back to that to show them they're still trying to catch some fish. This wasn't this episode wasn't for them. Just keeping it real. You know what I mean? They didn't really show too much of Wes and Steve. But then they went back to Waz, Teal, and Joe, and they again Teal trying to convince Joe to come with him. Waz was just like, hey, look here, man. If you don't want to go, you don't want to go. I don't give a damn. We're leaving in the morning. Okay, just to let you know, right? If you're coming with us, you're coming with us. If you don't, you don't. Stay here then. Whatever. Again, Joe. I think Joe should go, and I think he will. I think he might because bro. You're on day 20. You're on day 20. It's time to get going. You only got until day 35. You got to migrate eventually. And my thing is this: if you got to migrate eventually, you might as well go ahead and migrate with the group instead of migrating by yourself. You know what I'm saying? So I think he would go. I think he will. Again, we don't know because the show ended with him saying no, I'm not going. Right, but so then the next episode, I think he's gonna go. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know, but we'll see. I think he's gonna go, man. It's just not. It wouldn't be smart. Well, Joe has been surprising me sometimes, but it wouldn't be smart of Joe to just chill there and not go. Like what I mean, come on, bro. You got obviously these guys are better food providers than you are. I mean, come on, bro. You haven't caught anything in the past 3 weeks. They get there in the first hour, they catch 6 turtles. Like, come on, bro. Like you get, yeah, that's a pretty good team there. You might want to go with them. Like they fed your ass 2 turtles, bro. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, the scene there, the episode ends there. I don't know if um if Joe's gonna go or not, but I think if I had to pick, I think he would go. I think he'll go. If he doesn't go with them, then he's gonna wait one more day and then go by himself, which is, I think that's dumb. I don't think you should do that, but we'll see. They didn't show Wes and Steve. They didn't show them migrating anywhere. They're still staying there. I think they talked about it in the middle of the show, in the middle of the episode. They talked about it, but they didn't pack up anything or go. Like and then Steven, of course, Steven's group, they were walking, but they didn't get to their destination, right? So that's it. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Joe if he ends up going with the group. But I think it'll be who of him to get going, man. So that's just me, man. That's just me. But yeah. So we're gonna wait and see till next episode, man. I think next episode is gonna be pretty. I think it's gonna be more to talk about in the next episode because you got, not only do we have the migration going, but you got the migration going to a certain destination, and it's gonna be a new environment, right? And then of course, remember, new when they get to their new destination, their new environment, right? They You got to build shelter quickly, before nightfall. You got to build a boma very, very quickly before nightfall. You know what I mean? So I think next episode there's going to be a lot more to talk about. Again, this whole episode was just about migrating and Joe's weird ass with him when it comes down to people. But that's pretty much it, man. So, but we'll see what happens next episode, man. I can't wait for it. It's gonna be great. Again, I go live for these every week. So if you guys watch Naked and Afraid Apocalypse, you guys can tune in to here and hear me give a review or a reaction on it. You know what I mean? My reaction. You know, and uh, and again, if you guys do watch it, you guys want to pull up on this show, you can pull up on this show and talk some Naked and Afraid with me, man. It's a lot of fun, a lot of entertainment, bro. So anyway, that's it. That's it. I think I touched on everything. I think so. Pretty sure I did. Pretty sure I did. Hopefully I did. Anyway, I appreciate you guys, man, showing up, showing some love. Hit the like button, subscribe, of course, if you're new. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of Naked and Afraid Apocalypse, man. That's it for me, y'all. Appreciate y'all, man. I'm out.